We like to think of a brand as a promise well delivered. And what that means for brand owners is that they need to understand what it is that the consumer is looking for from their brand, and they need to make sure that their brand is aligned with those consumers' wants and needs. For example, if you're operating in a market where you're delivering products where virtuousness is a really important part of that brand promise, for example, the plant-based meat and dairy alternatives sector, it's important that it's not just about delivering through the ingredients that you use, but it's also the process of production, the ethics behind the business. And of course, it's also about the packaging that product is housed in. The packaging is the thing that the consumer first physically interacts with. It's delivering one of the very first brand messages that they're going to receive. So it's really important that packaging is in tune with what those consumers want from that brand. Circularity is a term that is becoming more familiar to consumers. We recently did a big piece of research with 2,000 UK adults, asking them questions around recycling, sustainability, and of course, circularity. What emerged from that is that currently just over 50% of UK adults say they are familiar to some degree with the term circularity, but only around 30% of adults say that they understand what it means. That means, of course, that over 2/3 of UK adults aren't really sure what circularity means. So there's still a little bit of a way to go in terms of getting proper understanding. What our research also showed is that metal cans are seen as the most circular form of packaging at the moment. They're ahead of glass bottles and well ahead of plastic pouches, plastic bottles and cartons. We asked people to what extent they agreed with the phrase, metal cans are the most circular form of packaging, and 62% of UK adults said that they did agree with that statement. What was also interesting, though, is that the awareness of what circularity meant was much higher amongst younger adults, those under the age of 45, than it was amongst those aged 45 plus, who, as we've seen from earlier questions in the study, are much more likely to be recycling on a regular basis. And I guess the implication of all of that is that there's still a need for education and information, even to the extent of making it absolutely clear on the back of a metal can how many times it's been used in the past and how many times it's likely to be used in the future. I think that physical proximity would be a very helpful way to educate.